BEP Meet events, bringing school leaders across Birmingham together to share and learn from and with each other. What's the real value to you of the Birmingham Education Partnership?
The value of the BEP is that the greatest expertise for improving schools sits within schools. So the chance to share and move around the best that we have in Birmingham is powerful. One of the problems and challenges for the education system is the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And that isn't necessarily about wealth and wealthy neighbourhoods. Some of the best practice in a city like Birmingham might be sitting in neighbourhoods where there's high levels of challenge and deprivation, but fantastic professional practice. And so the chance to share out what is best within the profession is really what the Birmingham Education Partnership is about.
What have been the particular highlights for you of this BEP Meet event?
I think highlights for me, in essence, are bringing different people together. So a few years ago, the idea of schools getting a disproportionate amount of funding under the Academies programme, and they were schools that were at the bottom of the pile, somebody had the audacity to say they would become a kind of a source of good for the wider community. And actually, if that isn't the case, then they're divisive. So seeing that an ARC Academy in the middle of Birmingham can be of benefit to everybody is a real highlight for me. To make connections where we haven't got them is a highlight for me. So Coventry coming and speaking to Birmingham matters. There are lots of patterns that I think we've got to change, where people have become more embedded in silos and more separated, and so making new connections is a highlight for me. I think it's also worth saying that when you see people who as heads have still got absolutely driving passion, clarity, moral purpose, that's always worth hearing and celebrating.
What do you think is the real value of the networking opportunities available here?
I think that it's easy in an age of social media and the internet to have lots and lots of very thin contacts that aren't of great value. The real value of this morning isn't the big platform speaking, it's what's going on behind me, which is 15 workshops with professionals eagerly able to go to the workshop that they're interested in and really pick up concrete, practical, functional tips and bits of learning that they can go and implement. So that sense of practitioners learning from practitioners, and importantly, head teachers learning from lots of other people's practice so they can make better strategic decisions, I think is the real value of today. So it's getting into the nitty-gritty of the workshops that is useful.
And finally, what would you say to somebody who's thinking about coming to a BEP Meet event but is hovering on the edge?
Well, I think probably you don't have to look at education to know that good time for refreshing your thinking, good time for that kind of research and development stage, that time in developing your practice is essential. And what we know is that improvement in education very often reaches plateaus. And the more we get pressured just to carry on doing more of the same, the more we know that we'll hit a plateau. And so the chance really for primary practitioners to learn from secondary and vice versa, the chance to hear things that we would never normally have heard before, gives us more of an opportunity to change our practice maybe a little bit or significantly, and that's vital if we're going to break through some of the kind of glass ceilings that sit, and nowhere is that more significant than closing the disadvantage gap. So today's event is about newly arrived pupils and those with home language other than English. Very often you don't have to look far in society to see that that's closely linked to deprivation, and that those communities are some of those with the greatest levels of deprivation in them. So the opportunity to change people's practice practically, to change the strategic understanding of leaders in a really concrete way is vital if we're going to help shift and close that disadvantage gap in attainment.
BEP Meet events, bringing school leaders across Birmingham together to share and learn from and with each other.